Good morning. I am working out in my shop today and I've got Sasquatch, the 1979 Jeep Wagoneer, here in my shop. This vehicle is incredible. It was built for the 2022 SEMA car show and they spared no expense. It's got all the bells and whistles and it's gone all over the country to different car shows, but now it's ready to begin its life as a real off-road truck. Recently, this vehicle went to Moab for the Easter Jeep Safari and it took on a little damage there. The steering stabilizers in the front were hanging down kind of low. They got beat up by the rocks, so they've been removed, and I also took out the steering gear. This thing is ready for some steering upgrades now that'll make it the real off-road beast it was meant to be. I'm going to be installing this new system from PSC, and it's going to be a huge upgrade. It's got a high output pump that'll increase the line pressure. It's got a steering assist ram, which will give way more steering strength in the rocks. It's got a new reservoir and a cooler that'll prevent the system from overheating when it's getting worked hard. There's also a new steering gear coming that I'll show you later. You can see the quality of these components, but you can also hear it. That was machined from a solid block of aluminum. There's a lot of parts to an upgrade like this, so one of the things that I like to do is draw it all out so I can break it down into small, easy steps. There are 5 parts here that need to get installed, and there are 6 hoses, 3 high pressure and 3 low pressure. If I get all the parts installed and I get all the hoses hooked up, everything will work right when I'm done. I'm going to start with the components that go on the bottom side, the ram, and the cooler. The ram's got to go right down here along the axle, kind of where the stabilizers were. To get this ram to fit up in here, it's got to be right where this bracket is. So I'm going to have to do a little chopping and grinding to make it go, and then I'll weld it in. All right, that's gonna fit in there and it's getting pretty close. I just got a little bit more grinding to do to make it work. I'm testing these hoses to see if they're gonna reach down to the ram and up to the steering box, and they look like they're gonna be perfect. So I've got that thing tacked in there right now, and before I weld it in all the way, I'm gonna cycle everything left and right just to make sure it's all still working. Looks good this way, now I'm gonna bomb it in. The steering assist ram is all mounted down in here. Next I'm gonna mount the cooler, and then I'll move up and work inside the engine bay. So I think I want this power steering cooler to go right about here. I'm gonna build a little bracket so I can mount it in that position right there. I decided to put this cooler up even higher because of rocks. Now I'm just waiting for that to cool off, and then I can hit it with a little bit of paint and get this bolted down. While I'm waiting for that to cool, I'm going to install all the fittings in the cooler. Everything is dry now, so I bolted the cooler in, and I'm really happy. It's tucked up high and tight. That's not going anywhere. Time to bring this thing back down and start working on the top side. I've got to stop here for a little bit because I am heading over to Holly's to help her with a project that she's working on, so I'll take you along with me. Holly's shop is about 15 or 20 minutes away from my place. I think we might be installing a PSC system over there as well. I'm not really sure, I just volunteered to help. All right, I'm here at Holly's shop today, and we are working on the Tread Lightly giveaway Jeep. So when do you give it away?
It ends on, I believe, November 17th. There's still a long way to go, but we're raising money for Tread Lightly, and there's a lot of companies involved again this year, and it's incredible. Okay. You can buy a t-shirt or hoodie, which is super cool because it has the blueprint of the Jeep. You can get entries through there, you can donate, or you can become a member of Tread Lightly.
Well, I'll show you the Jeep here. We're gonna get to work. We were gonna do some steering stuff today, but I'm not sure we have all the right parts, so we're gonna jump onto some suspension stuff and just keep making progress.
Yes, progress.
We're working on this cross member now instead of the steering. So we use these jacks to get the cross member up here. We're marking it right now for holes, and we're gonna start drilling the frame.
And we're gonna start drilling the frame.
Watch out, the chips are flying. It did really good up to that spot. We did as much as we could with that step drill bit. Now we're using the real one. Okay, we got all these holes drilled and this cross member is ready to go in, but it is lunchtime, so we're gonna stop for a little break. I had to use the heels today because we were almost out of bread. Time for a new loaf.
Stop loafing around. I don't have a good sandwich. I just have a tortilla.
Tortillas and oranges.
Maybe a Rice Krispie treat.
Peanut butter and jelly looks like gourmet compared to this lunch. All right, back to work.
It's hot. I'm wearing the glove on the hand. It doesn't matter. Do it.
Do it.
What was one-upping?
That was a cruel thing to do.
Wow.
I'm gonna do it one more time. You could just tap them out there. Feel like I did a really mean thing. But maybe it'll be enough.
You'll be good.
Maybe that'll be enough.
I think that will be better. It's more the size.
Okay, we got it.
Yes. Whoa.
So we got the cross member all put up. This is a good stopping point for today. Now our transmission and engine are gonna fall out.
Fantastic.
That's a plus.
Thank you.
The power steering will have to wait until another day. Thanks, Holly.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to work on this. It was really fun to help out Holly, but I am back here now at my shop working on Sasquatch again. I think the next step is to replace the power steering pump, which I've already removed the old one, and the new one is the same style, so I think it'll bolt right in. Okay, the pump went in nice and easy, just as I hoped. Now it's time to move on to the reservoir. As you can see, the new reservoir is quite a bit bigger than the old one, so I'm gonna have to mount it in a different location. So to do that, I need to build some kind of a mounting bracket. I think the new reservoir will fit really good right in here. Somehow I just need to mount it to the fender. This bracket is all welded together now. I'm gonna go do one final test fit in the Jeep, and then I can bomb it together, clean it up, paint it, and then we'll install this thing for good. That right there looks like a perfect fit. Checking the fit one final time, and I'm gonna mark where to drill my holes. Then we can get this thing painted and mount it up. Paint's all dry on that bracket. I need to put the fittings in this reservoir, then I can mount it up. The PSC reservoir is looking really good in there, but the moment of truth is here. Can I close the hood? Yes. So I've got everything installed now except the power steering gear, and that is because I don't have one. That power steering gear that I sent a couple weeks ago to PSC somehow got lost in the mail. It still says in transit. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks. So PSC came in to save the day. They overnighted me a brand new gear. That should have been here 3 days ago, and it's still not here. The tracking says that steering gear is gonna arrive tomorrow, and I really hope it does, because the day after tomorrow, this is supposed to be in Flagstaff, Arizona for KC Headlights' grand opening of their new headquarters. There's also an overland show that this is gonna be at. So I gotta get this figured out really quick, and I still have all the hoses to put in, but there's nothing else I can do tonight. So I'm gonna roll this out of here, and I've got another project that Bridger wants me to work on really bad, so we'll go do that. I pushed the Wagoneer out of here and moved Bridger's Grand Cherokee in here because it's making a weird noise. And he's leaving in a couple of weeks to move up to Idaho permanently, so he's very motivated to get this fixed right now. So I'm gonna have Bridger get this up on the lift, and I had a neighbor bring another little project over. So my neighbor Charlie brought this over. He has an incredible yard, and I want to help him with it because that's what he loves to do. So he wanted me to take this blade off, and it just spins, so you can't really do it without an impact wrench. But while it's here, I also noticed there's a couple of welds that have cracked, so we'll put those together while Bridger gets the Jeep up on the lift. This is going back to Charlie. Let's see how Bridger's doing.
Going up.
Okay, I want you to grab that brake rotor and pull it off. Yeah, it should just come right off. There you go. Oh, I think this whole axle shaft will have to come out. I don't know if this is gonna work, Brood. So we didn't find anything wrong with the brakes, but we did find a broken wheel stud, and we have a breather that needs to be reconnected. So we're gonna fix those things and put this back together. All right, we gotta see if we can sneak one in. Old wheel stud, new wheel stud. See if we can find a spot that we can
Sneak it on in.
get it in there, yeah. Oh, we got it, we got it.
Boom.
All right, I was able to sneak that wheel stud in from the backside, and I can pull it on now with a lug nut, which is not the right way to do this. You should always press them in from the backside with an arbor press or something else. Even hammering them in is better, but I'm not gonna pull this whole axle shaft out to do that, so we're doing it the wrong way, and it's gonna be all right. Bridger, never do it this way. This was bothering me so much, I came up with another way to try and press this in right. I'm gonna use this clamp and see if I can just drive the thing in. If this doesn't press it in all the way, we'll drive it in the last little bit with a lug nut. All right, none of that worked. The clamp idea got it started, but it wouldn't push it all the way in, so I'm gonna have to do it with the impact wrench. At least we used anti-seize. Let's put this thing back together. We're gonna torque the lug nuts so that'll never happen again. All right, I'm trying to work on this again today, but I don't have a steering gear yet. Hopefully one arrives in the mail. If not, the owner that's picking this up tonight is gonna bring one with him so we can pull an all-nighter getting this done. Either way, I gotta get some fittings so I can get all the plumbing done.
I volunteered to make a parts run to St. George. I got my list. I got examples of what I need. I should be back in about an hour.
Perfect.
Just got to the parts store. I'm headed in and hopefully they have everything we need. He just went back to check for the parts. We'll let you know if they have them. I got what I needed. They're just gonna ring me up. Hey, I just want to thank Terry here for helping me find the parts. Couldn't have done it on my own. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
LGG Industrial.
Okay, thanks so much.
I am gonna start installing hoses as if the PSC gear was going to arrive today. If it doesn't, then when the owner shows up with the other gear, I can maybe reconfigure things to work with that. So I've got all the high pressure side stuff right here. Angela's grabbing the low pressure fittings. I'm just gonna keep working through this. All right, the long hose should go to the far one. And the short hose goes to the close one. All right, so those should reach right up here to the steering gear when that arrives. I forgot that I still have this plate to figure out. I chopped this plate back here that was covering some of the bolts for the steering gear. I just cut through it because it would have been really hard to take this bumper off. So I'm gonna cut some holes into that plate so that I can take the steering gear on and off without having to remove the bumper every time. Oh yeah, that's gonna go back together. So these two bolts right here go into the steering gear and I couldn't get to them without removing this plate. I didn't want to take the whole bumper off, so I cut right there. I'm gonna bolt this back down. With these holes now I can get to the steering gear and I'll just weld this back together. I could probably reinforce it and make it stronger than it was before. Okay, I'm just gonna put a little bead across that. I'll probably sand it flat and then put another plate across it and make it even tougher than it was. I've already kind of ground both sides and got it prepped, so I think I can lay a nice bead right down that crack. All right, Angela just got back, so I'm gonna check out and see how she did.
I hope I did good. Just got back from the parts store. Here we go.
Yes.
There we go. We got
4 of those. One side and
4 of those, 2 of these. Big elbow, little elbows.
That's exactly what we needed. We should be able to get the low side fittings mostly together. Still waiting on the steering gear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we got plenty of weld in there. We got a nice reinforcement panel. They got access to the bowl holes so they can take that gear in and out without having to remove the bumper. This is a win. Now that I've got all these fittings, I can start putting in the low pressure hoses, so that steering gear is gonna be the last piece. This is my hose assembly process. I just smash them on here as hard as I can. Ah. There we go. I am kind of in a holding pattern until some parts get here, so this is a good time to talk about Car Buff Network. So the owner of this vehicle is Trent and his brother Spencer. They run this super cool website called carbuffnetwork.com. And it lists hundreds and hundreds of vehicles that have been built, and all of the brands and parts that are used on those vehicles are listed, so you can click on them and go check out all those parts. Eventually I want to get Dig Dug loaded up on there, and as I build it, I'll keep adding the parts. So if you're wondering what I'm using, you can just go there and find them. They sent me this really cool banner. I'll show you that, and then I'm going to go hang it up on the wall here. My first thing to hang on the wall. I'm pretty excited about it. That's safe to stand on. Does that look level? Pretty good?
Really good.
These guys are awesome. Check them out. All right, the mail came. UPS finally pulled through. Overnight came in just 4.5 days. Let's check out the part here. Oh, that's beautiful. That is a work of art. Okay, hopefully the fittings that I have will work with this steering gear. I'm gonna try and plug those in and then mount this up to the frame. Okay, I'm checking out the fittings here. We've got number 6 fittings on the side. Those will go to the ram. These 2 fittings will go to the power steering pump and the reservoir. Hopefully I have the right adapters. Here's one of them. Oh, that fits perfect. Let's see. Aha, also perfect, yes. This is going good. So these are attached to the side here, and I don't know if that means I need to take these fittings off and they go underneath, or if they're just spares. I don't know. Okay, looking good so far. All right, so far so good. This box looks like it's gonna bolt up just fine. Oh yeah, that's going really good. Okay, I was worried. There's a lot of things that have to come together. Sector shaft has to be right. The fittings on the ram have to be right. The fittings for the pump have to be right. It has to bolt to the frame, and it looks like everything is good at this point. All right, everything went together really good, except one of these bolts is too long now and won't go all the way through. It's probably because this box has a bigger bore, which gives it more steering assist. There's more force when it steers, which is awesome, but I just needed to swap out this one bolt, which is easy enough. See if that one will do. I found one that's like a 1/2 inch shorter. Ah, yeah, that one went in. That was perfect. That one fit good, went in tight. Okay, that box is mounted. I have 4 hoses to hook up. Then I need to fill this thing with fluid and we can get it out and test it. Okay, I'm working up in here. It's really tight and I'm trying to route these last couple of hoses. I think I've got them kind of figured out. I need to cut this last one. Something like that. I think the routing's gonna be, well, I could do that or I could like loop around. I'll get it figured out. We'll get this last hose mounted up and then I'm gonna fill this thing up. That's not bad. All right, this is the last hose going on. It's taking a while to get these in here. They are all very crammed in, small spaces, but they're going together. Okay, that was the very last hose. I've got the pitman arm here I gotta put on. That's keyed so it only goes on one way, so that should be good right there. I'll make sure the steering wheel is straight up and down. And I think we're good. I gotta tighten this up and a couple things on the top end. And we're ready to fill this up. All right, I got all the hoses attached and I thought I had everything put together. And then I went to put the input shaft onto the steering gear and it doesn't fit. It won't go together. So I think the gear is 30 spline and the U-joint on the end of the steering shaft is like 32 spline and they don't go. So I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna call some stores, figure this out because we are out of time. And that's a really small thing to hold this up. So I'll figure something out and let you know what we're gonna do. All right, there are no stores in town that have anything that will fit and help here. I went through all my parts for Dig Dug, hoping that there would be something in there that would work, and everything is the wrong spline count. Nothing is gonna fit on this Jeep. So still scratching my head, but I've gotta figure this out in the next couple hours. All right, I'm working on a solution over here. I went through these shelves that are totally full of junk, and there's an old steering shaft, and it's got a rag joint on it that I detached from the end here. And I think this will slip on there. It doesn't have the whole joint, it's only half a joint. So this is only half a solution, but it's a start. So this piece will slip on the steering gear. I think I can cut off the spline section and weld these together, which is not a great solution, but it's a solution. All right, let me see if I can disconnect this. Ugh. That just break off. That doesn't look good. All right, that's bad. The little retaining nut that holds that joint on just broke off in my hand. Oh, the other one just broke off too. All right, this got worse. All right, now I need a solution for getting that joint off, and then I can try this other solution, combining the two joints and putting it back on somehow. All right, that wasn't working, so I found another way to get it out of there. I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing apart. I'm just gonna try and drill it. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll drill really easy. Okay, drilling didn't work. We're just gonna have to grind through this whole thing. Take it apart the hard way. Moved a tiny bit. Oh, not the whole thing. There it goes.
Too hot.
Did you touch it?
Yeah.
Oh, bad idea.
Yeah.
You
I know.
okay?
I know now.
Okay, we got it. This is a very cruel thing we're doing to this U-joint, but it had to be done. Okay, so here's the plan. Where's my other part? This thing, I gotta do some chopping on this, but I'm gonna take this piece and this piece and weld them together and make them one. And then it should work. All right. You show that. I'm gonna chop those nubs off. They're bugging me. All right, so here's the two pieces that I need to weld together. This piece will mount to the box, and this piece will mount to the steering column. I'll have to weld these two together, then I can weld this to the column, and then I can clamp this side down, and the whole thing should work. All the pieces work. I've test fit everything. I just need to weld these together. This isn't a great long-term fix because I'm gonna burn the heck out of the little needle bearings in here, but this will work for a few weeks until we can get the right joint and put it back together the right way. The U-joints, they're cooking in there. All right. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool for like 10 minutes. All right, this whole thing's welded together. It's cooled off, and I'm trying to slip it back together. Hopefully it all still fits. All right, this whole thing went back together. All the steering is hooked up now, which is a huge win, not just for me, but for hoarders everywhere. We should all feel a little bit validated. The next step is to fill and bleed the system. We've been working on this for a while. Angela's been helping me fill the system, bleed it all down. We've been turning the wheel back and forth. We started it, we ran it. It is late. It's really late, and we're not going on a test drive. We might get a chance to drive it in the morning. We're gonna have to drive this thing out in the sand and the rocks sometime in the next week or two when it comes back to my shop after it's done in Flagstaff. So we'll get a good test drive in then. Hopefully we can drive it around the block before it gets loaded on the trailer early in the morning.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, it is the next morning and we've got everything bled, zip tied down, and it looks like it's ready to drive. We're turning the wheel back and forth. It feels really good in the shop. I'm excited to get it on the road. We're only gonna have time for a quick drive over to pick up some parts at O'Reilly. Then we gotta load this thing on the trailer. I'll have to do a full test drive when it comes back from the show. All right, we finally got this thing out on the road. The steering in this feels amazing. No more wandering on the road. The Ram slows everything down. I can also turn really good in the parking lot, but obviously I'm not gonna get it out in the rocks today. I got Spencer here with me. Hello. Spencer and Trent don't like to be on the camera, but they're the owner of this amazing vehicle. So we're gonna load it up on the trailer now, send it off. Hopefully we'll get to drive it out in the rocks sometime, but today, all we did was a little mall crawling. So we barely pulled that off, but Spencer is halfway to Flagstaff now. I would have loved to have tested that in the rocks, but we didn't get a chance. I can tell by the way it was driving on the street, it's gonna be a huge improvement. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out one of these.